Hey guys, welcome back to Mad Science. I'm Martin, and today we're going to be making robots. I'm sorry it's not an edible experiment today, but I still think it's going to end up pretty cool. By the end of today, we'll have completed our own brush bot. A quick little demo to show you what it's going to do. Using the motor and the batteries, we're going to make a little robot that can run around all over the place. Before we get into today's experiment, I wanted to go over something really quickly. Our robot today, we are working with electricity. It's very small amounts. It's nothing that could cause you any major harm, but it is electronics, and so we want to make sure that we're extra careful. In all of our electronic components, guys, we've got a red wire and a black wire. Those two wires should never cross or touch each other. That could short out the circuit, cause a fire, or even zap you a little bit. If you do get a shock on the fingers, it's going to be very small. Nothing that's going to cause you any permanent harm, but it will be a little bit uncomfortable, and there is a fire hazard whenever you cross wires. So make sure, if you're working away with this when we do our work, that the battery pack does not have batteries in it while we're working, and we'll put those in at the end, okay? Today's experiment is going to use some materials that you might not be able to find around your house as easily as we did when we had ice cream. The first thing we're going to be using is a battery pack. This is where our batteries are going to connect to the wires and will hold in there nice and tight. This battery pack has a little metal arm that acts as a switch. Depending on where you get them, they could look different. It could not have that switch. It could have maybe different colored wires, things like that. It depends on where you get them. I got my components from the internet. I ordered them online, and they were relatively cheap and showed up pretty quickly. But you could probably find these inside of maybe a toy. You could look at an electronics store, something like that. That's probably where you'll be able to find something like this. That's our first ingredient. I've also got an extra piece of wire here. We're going to use this wire to connect to a switch later on. Through the experiment, you could do without a switch, but I've chosen to add a switch in just because it makes me have a little more control over our robot. The next ingredient is our little switch here. It's very basic, front and back, and it's got two little connectors on the back. That's where we're going to be connecting our wires. Nothing too fancy. We also have a couple of AA batteries. Our battery pack is designed for AA's. Battery packs come in all sorts of sizes for different shapes and batteries. So you just want to make sure that you have the right batteries for your battery pack. We also have this nail scrub brush. You can find these on the internet as well, but if you go to the dollar store, Walmart, any kind of store like that, you should be able to find something pretty similar to this brush. We also have a little motor. Again, I ordered this one online. You might be able to find these in old video game controllers, in little remote control cars, things like that. It's just a simple electronic motor with two connections, a positive and a negative, with a little arm here that spins around once electricity is connected to it. You also notice that I have taken a paper clip and hot glued it or fixed it to the motor where it spins, so that when it spins, it's going to create this vibrating action. It's through that vibration that our robot is going to move. I've also got a little bit of electrical tape just to kind of hold everything here. To start building our robot, we're going to start with the battery pack. All we want to do is take this battery pack and attach it to our brush. I'm going to use some electrical tape. You could use some hot glue or something that won't melt the plastic, something that's just going to firmly connect your battery pack to our brush. I've got some electrical tape here that I'm going to use just because that's what I've got on hand and I found that's the easiest way to go. One thing to keep in mind when we put tape with our battery pack is we don't want to go over top of the battery pack, because if we do it that way, then we won't be able to get our batteries in or out. They're kind of permanently in. So what I like to do is come under the brush and connect it that way. Alright, you can see I've got my battery pack taped right on there. My wires are coming out the back, but it depends on how you want to kind of align your switch and everything. I figured this would give me lots of room to work with my wires and kind of keep things nice and tight. Once we've got the battery pack attached, the next step is going to be to attach our motor. This motor should have enough room from your battery pack to stick out the front, and as you can see with the paper clip I've got on there, if it's too close and the paper clip is going to touch the brush, then it won't work. So we want to make sure that the paper clip has lots of room to spin around. Again, I'm just going to use my electrical tape to secure this part. Once we've got the motor attached, our next step is going to be to attach our switch. I've chosen to add my switch onto the bottom because my switch has a little bit of a lip here and it seems to fit perfectly right on the back. So I've taken a strip of electrical tape in my switch. All I'm going to do is secure that onto there. So now we've got a strip all the way around the back and our switch is firmly attached. As you can see, I've taken my strip of tape and my switch and now it's firmly attached to the back. Our next step after that is going to be to start wiring our device. So we're going to start with our positive wires. The positive wires are the red wires. That's where the electricity is going to be flowing out of the battery and into our motor. Before we take our red wire and just attach it to the motor, we want to make sure it goes through the switch. The switch is going to work by having a split in the red wire so that when the switch is on, the power can freely flow through it and into the motor, but when the switch is off, then the electricity does not flow. So the one red wire coming off of our battery pack, we want to attach to one of our pegs on the switch down here. I reuse all of our components, so I'm not going to permanently fix these together. If you had access to a soldering iron and some proper supervision and safety and everything included, you could solder this together. You could use a piece of electrical tape. If you've got enough of a tail wire here, you can put it through the hole of the switch and twist it around so it's nice and tight and secure. There's a number of ways you could go about it, but for today I'm going to loop it through and try to just pinch it off so that I can still take them apart afterwards. So you can see, guys, I've attached the red wire from the battery pack onto one of the terminals for the switch. I fed it through the circle and then I just pinched it off because, like I said before, I'm going to be taking this apart after, so I made it a little easier. If you want it to be nice and secure, you can get a bit of a twist or some kind of adhesive to get it on there. Now that our battery pack is attached to our switch, we need to connect the switch to the motor. So the extra piece of red wire for positive that I had lying around is what I'm going to use next. You want to connect this wire to the other post on the switch. You don't want to connect it to the same one. And if you've got a long tail on your wire like mine and both of those pegs touch, it makes the switch not do anything. It circumvents the whole thing, so your switch won't work. So you want to make sure that the wire is only touching one of the posts at a time and not crossing over between the two. Okay guys, so I've connected our extra wire to the open spot on the switch. I've gone ahead and connected it all the way up and through directly to our motor. When we connect the positive lead from the switch to the motor, my motors, when I bought them, have a little indicator on the one side to show that this is the positive terminal. You want to make sure that your red wire is to the positive and that your black wire will connect to the negative. I've also taken some tape, just kind of cleaned up my wires a little bit. They were kind of sticking out all over the place. It's not perfect yet, but that'll kind of keep some stuff out of the way and work for what we're doing. The final step here, guys, is going to be to take our black lead wire here and connect it to the negative terminal on the motor. Again, I've been keeping these fairly loose, just sliding them through the hole and pinching them off so that I can get them off easier. But if you want to take some time to twist on the wires and make sure that it's nice and secure, then your circuit will stay complete and it'll go through. For what we're using it for today, a quick little crimp on top will make it just fine. So as we had before, we've got our battery pack attached to the brush. Both of our wires coming out of the battery pack have been attached. The red one loops down to our switch with the extra wire coming off the switch into the motor, and then the black negative going into the negative output on our motor here. I've also got our little paper clip attached to create a vibrating action as it spins. Again, when I put it on, I made sure that this can spin freely without making contact with either the ground or whatever surface we're on and the brush. Now that we've got this all put together, I can move forward and add maybe a little housing on top so that it closes it all off and makes it look a little cooler, anything like that. But this is our bare bones brush bot here. All that's left now is to put in some batteries and see how it works. Alright guys, we're back. We've got our finished brush bot and everything's ready to go. I've got my 2 AA batteries. We're gonna fire it inside of the brush bot and see how it works. So inside of my batteries here, you can see that it tells me which ways the batteries go in. If I put them in backwards, it's not gonna work. So we'll go in, 1 battery, 2 battery, paying attention to the negatives and positives. Everything's all wired up. We'll just flip the switch, and there we go. We've got a working brush bot. He's gonna run around. This one's wild. When I was young, guys, I used to watch this show called Battle Bots, and having 2 robots sitting in front of me, I can't help it. I gotta see which robot is better than the other one. So we're gonna have a robot battle. On our right hand, we've got our demo bot, Mark 1. On the left, we've got the Mark 2. Both of them have different front ends, but generally speaking, they're the same robot. Let's turn them both on and see who wins. Well, that was anticlimactic. They need some help. We got 1 good collision. Oh, this battle could go on a while, guys. I hope you got your money in on the winner. Oh, well, 1 robot stopped, so we're gonna call the blue one the winner. Red robot is still trying to fight back, but it can't hold up. I'm gonna call blue the winner. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you make some sweet robots, and I hope they fight better than mine did. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.